what I had committed to the people of Indiana was to support a balanced budget amendment. I had watched the process, and since I've been here and gone and now back, continue to watch the process where we just simply don't have that discipline that drives us to decisions that keeps our fiscal house in balance. There's so many temptations as a member of Congress to want to say yes to everybody. Everybody pleads their cause. They come in and they make it the case. And over the years, we have gradually accumulated a substantial amount of debt that we no longer can afford. And I think I came to the conclusion then, and based on historic analysis of the situation, but also nothing has changed as I look at the situation now, and that is we need something that locks us into a commitment to be careful with taxpayers' money and not spend more than we take in. Now, every family understands this, that there's a point at which you have to simply say we got to stop spending at the rate we're spending because we cannot afford to get into debt. Every business understands that. Most of our local governments and state governments are now realizing that, and as we see across the country, very drastic steps need to be taken to get the fiscal house back in order. That hasn't happened yet at the federal level, and thankfully we have before us this week, first in the House of Representatives and now here, an attempt to debate and address the issue of a federal constitutionally mandated balanced budget. And I look forward to that debate. So just to, in a sense, start off with it, let's just look back at a little history. When the balanced budget amendment first came before the Senate in the 90s, been up before, of course, but in 1997, our nation's debt stood at $5.36 trillion. Today, that debt has accelerated nearly 3 times to $14.3 trillion, and as we know, is accelerating even faster and climbing toward much higher numbers. We're borrowing more than 40 cents of every dollar that we spend. We know that's unsustainable, that ultimately that will have a negative impact. Well, it's having a negative impact right now on our economy, but it'll continue to have an ever-increasing negative impact on our economy in the future if we keep doing that. We clearly, I think, need the backstop, need the commitment when we put our hand on the Bible and raise our right hand and swear in an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, that includes a commitment to be careful with the taxpayers' dollars, and particularly understanding the impact that deficit spending has on our economic prospects and on unemployment, a commitment to be open and fair and upfront with the taxpayer who's funding all of this. And this is our state of Indiana. Each year has to go before the taxpayers and say, you know, that's a nice proposal that we have here, but this is how much it's going to cost. And if you, the taxpayer, wants to pay for that in increased taxes, or you, the taxpayer, wants to pay for it by reducing spending somewhere else, that keeps one of those processes will keep us in balance. And we cannot end this session without achieving that balance. That's what our state has to go through every year, and that's true of the majority of states in this country. But it doesn't happen here. It's like, well, we can just borrow more and we'll worry about it later. Well, the end of that road is here. We've hit the wall. Later is no longer a viable option. More debt is no longer a viable option. And without a constructive plan in place to address this and address it now, we are going to continue, in my opinion, to remain here at stalemate. There's a lot going on here in the Senate. We've been in discussions hours upon hours upon hours, both sides and together, trying to figure out a plan that will put us on the path to fiscal responsibility that can both pass both the House and the Senate. But the opportunity now is here to accompany that plan with a balanced budget amendment. Now, we know it's going to take time to pass this. It requires 2/3 vote of each House. It then has to be, if passed, and agreed on, it has to be sent to the 3/4 of the states, and 3/4 of those states have to ratify that. That's going to take several years. But if the American people understood that behind whatever plan we put in place to deal with our fiscal problems, we had a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution in place to back it up, they would have assurance that we're on the right track. I think that signal alone to the financial markets and the world markets alone, that would enormously impact psychologically the confidence in the American people and in investors around the world that the United States has seen the problem, it has taken action, it is getting its fiscal house in order, and that the dollar will stay the world currency, and that America will be still the safest haven in the world to invest your funds. We see debt crises all over the world, and we see that our own dollar and our own safe haven is being challenged. We see the ratings agencies coming forward announcing a drop in our credit rating. The statistics are now in that a 1 percentage point increase in interest rates, which investors will demand if we don't show them a credible plan, produces over a 10-year period of time $1.3 trillion of extra money that we have to spend to cover our debt. We simply cannot continue this process, and the time to do it is now. Is it difficult? Yes, we've been trying to debate this thing and work on it ever since January. We are not there yet, but the clock is ticking toward August 2nd. This plan is not necessarily tied to debt limit, the balanced budget amendment, but putting a plan together is, and enforcing that plan and gaining the confidence of the American people that this will not just be something overturned by the next Congress, not just something that is a piece of paper that doesn't have long-term effect. It will be backed up by a balanced budget with the assurance that going forward, America will attend to its fiscal needs and stay strong as a nation financially as well as every other aspect. Mr. President, with that,